Hey, I have a question for you guys. If you're purchasing a brand new out of the box home, should you get that house inspected? And the answer is a resounding yes. You should get that brand new house inspected. And here's why. Because they don't build them like they used to. We all heard that old saying. My father used to say it, my grandfather used to say it. They don't build them like they used to. And the fact is true. They definitely don't build them like they used to. These houses today, especially in these new developments, they go up very quickly. And you would think that they would have craftsmen building these homes, but in fact, you don't really have that anymore. That old world craftsmanship, that taking your time to do the job right, doesn't really exist anymore. You've seen these buildings go up in no time, right? Whole developments go up in several months. And they can't be going up, and there's always going to be problems with these houses. Not to say that they're built incorrectly or there's significant problems in a lot of these new construction homes, but you really owe it to yourself to have a reputable, thorough, and comprehensive home inspection of that house, because I guarantee that that home inspector is going to uncover some problems that you didn't know about. And you can bring to light these problems with the builder. So if you tell if you have a home inspection, you can sit down with the builder, send the builder your home inspection report and say, hey, Mr. Builder, hey, we want to have X, Y, and Z corrected. And here's why. Here's the methodology that we think that these are issues, and here's why we would want those corrected. And don't think that we don't find a lot of problems in new construction houses, because we absolutely find a lot of problems in new construction homes. Now, it's true that some builders in these new developments may not allow you to have a home inspection before you close on the property. As crazy as that sounds, sometimes you can have a home inspection on a new development home. However, there is a builder's warranty. And you, as the owner of that house you just recently closed, can have a home inspection on the home, and it's still worthwhile, because here's why. You have a year to present any of the defects that we find in the home to the builder and seek remedies. So if we do find problems in the house, even after you closed on the home, you can still have a home inspection and then bring to light those problems to the builder. So you have a basic warranty for 1 year, and that's the one I'm talking about. There's also a 3-year warranty on the systems in the home, like the electrical, the plumbing, the heating, the cooling. And then there's a 10-year warranty on the structural issues. The foundation of the house is covered for 10 years, with the builder. But I'm talking about, why not have a home inspection after month 8? After you move into that new construction home, if you haven't had a home inspection previously. And even if you had a home inspection previously, the building has settled and moved, and I guarantee that there's going to be some problems that existed month 8 or 9 that weren't there on the original home inspection. So listen, it's always good to have a home inspection on a house, even if it's a new build, and even if you closed on the home without a home inspection, because there is that builder's warranty. And we absolutely do find problems. I'm going to put a link to a video on a new construction house in the comments, and you guys can see some of the defects that we find in these new construction homes. Not every house, of course, and not all these problems are large. But isn't it worthwhile, if you're spending this kind of money in New Jersey for a house, $800,000 or $900,000 on a new build construction? Isn't it worthwhile? Don't you want that correct? Don't you want even the smaller things taken care of? I certainly would. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? So on this video here, upcoming, I have just a few defects that we find, and just some informational stuff on home inspection that we found in homes recently. So take a look. Maybe you can relate these things to a house that you're buying or a house that you live in. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. We really want our exterior compressor units on the exterior of the home to be level. Here we're leaning far to the left side, and that can cause an issue with the compressor lubrication. So we always want to make these level. You put a level on top, you bring it up to level, so you get even lubrication of the compressor motor. So it's getting warmer now, and we're basically getting close to the time where we can test an air conditioning unit. Now this unit, just by its appearance, looks old, but we always like to go over here by the data plate of these air conditioning units. This one is made by the Goodman Company, and we know just from experience that this manufacturer puts the date at the first 2 digits of the serial number. So this unit was manufactured in 2003 and roughly has a life expectancy of about 15 years. So we're past its life expectancy. So the client really should budget for near-term replacement of this unit, near term. We're going to go inside and see if it warms up and test this unit. We really shouldn't test the unit unless it's 65 degrees or higher, and we may be able to reach that today. So always check the data plate on a unit that you're thinking about purchasing. If you're thinking about purchasing a home, you can take down the serial number, take a picture of it, and if you have the manufacturer's name, you can do some research at home if you're not familiar with the different manufacturers, and then you can get an idea of the age of the unit. When we look at a deck post, we want to see this deck post above the level of the soil on a footing and with a proper cleat. So when we have a deck post like this, direct contact to the soil, look what happens here. I can put my screwdriver right through the bottom of that deck post. So we're actually going down into the soil about 8 inches. So these posts are really decayed. And this is something that's important because it's a safety issue. You obviously don't want this type of thing holding up your deck. So watch the deck posts in direct contact with the soil. That is an issue, even though this is pressure treated lumber. We have our back set of steps here leading. This is our garage. So what's happening here is that we don't have a firm base under this area here at the bottom of the steps. So our steps are settling down because the soil is wet. So we actually have the top of the steps here, the stringers pulling away from the home, and that creates a tripping hazard or safety issue. So this is something we'll definitely tell the client about. This definitely needs correction. But when we see a set of steps like this, we should have a nice firm base under the bottom of the steps, just to prevent that set of steps from settling and causing issues with sloping of the stairs, and in this case, actually pulling away from the structure of the home. We have this furnace located in the crawl space, which is pretty much a high moisture environment. We see this rusting that's developing inside this furnace unit. This furnace unit really isn't even that old, and especially in through here, we see this rusting developing in the burner unit. So if you have a furnace that's in a high moisture environment, you're significantly going to reduce its life expectancy, because it's really not made to be exposed to this high moisture that we have in the space. So this furnace will have definitely a shorter life expectancy than a furnace that, say, is located in a dry basement or inside the living space of a house. A lot of rusting in here. Basement foundation wall, we see these 2 lines exiting the back of this basement wall. These are 2 oil tank supply lines, or oil supply lines, that are going back here, and they end up in back of this is a gas boiler, in back of our gas boiler. So these 2 lines indicate to a home inspector that there was or is an oil tank at the back of this property. So this is something that's going to have to be checked out, because you don't want to purchase a home, obviously, with an oil tank that you don't know about in the backyard. That could be a big environmental problem. So when you're looking for a house, look at this type of thing in your basement, especially if it's unfinished. You see those 2 lines exiting the back or anywhere through a foundation wall, that's likely to indicate a below ground oil tank was or is here. Super important to know that. We have a lot of moss in the backyard, and the reason why we have a lot of moss is because we have a home, very tall 2-story house here. We have a lot of tree cover, so our sunlight is not drying out the soil. It's not It's a little too wet to establish a lawn. But what we want to do is try to establish a lawn to help in drainage. And we don't really like to see all this moss and these wet areas here close to the home, because what they do is it tells us that we have saturated soil close to the house. And the more saturated the soil is close to the home, the more vulnerable our home, which is located here, is going to be for water infiltration in the basement, crawl space, whatever is under the house. So moss is an indication that water is not draining properly, that the soil is remaining wet. So when we go inside the house, we'll be looking for water penetration through this back wall right here, because that's close to the mossy, wet area in the backyard. Plus also we have these retaining walls, these high retaining walls in the backyard, and our water is going to come down these retaining walls and saturate this area very close to the home. So always be mindful of this kind of thing when you're purchasing a home, because water collecting around the outside of the house is not ideal. The life expectancy of an exterior deck is about 20 years. And this deck right here, we could just look at it. It's very, very weathered. The deck, the rails, everything is really weathered and weather beaten. So it's pretty much time. These guys don't last forever, but they do need regular maintenance. So if you have a deck on the exterior of your house, you should expect to paint or stain that deck about every 5 years or so to help protect this wood from the weather. Over here we have deck sinking in this corner. That's probably a footing issue. And then we have this little platform area, which probably was a planting area, that's all sunk in as well. So we're going to take some notes and make some notes on this deck in the report. But overall, this deck is past its life expectancy, and we'll recommend near-term replacement to our client. I turned the dryer on inside this house, and I was trying to figure out where the dryer vent actually is located on the outside, and here it is at the left side of this house. But look at how close to the ground that is. How is it going to vent properly? We're going to get snow and ice obstruction here. These vents should be at least a foot off the level of the grade. So that's a must do, especially because we have a gas dryer in the basement. We want to properly vent toxic gas from that gas dryer combustion. Part of our job as home inspectors is to give our client an idea of how old the equipment is: water heater, furnace, air conditioning, whatever the equipment is in the home. And sometimes you'll find that we have approvals, permit stickers. So this is 2014. We never really want to rely fully on that sticker. We want to go over here and find the data plate on the boiler. This is a Utica boiler, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but we kind of zoom in here. You see that that was manufactured in 2014, so that matches. So boilers like this have like a 20-year life expectancy, and we'll let our customer know that this boiler was manufactured in 2014. We have this window in this deck area. So this deck area is considered a walking surface. And this window, because it's so close to the walking surface, should be a tempered glass window. I don't see any tempering indication or safety glass indication on the window. So we're going to recommend to the client that that be upgraded to a safety glass or tempered window, just for safety. If a child is running, impacts the window, somebody's chasing a ball, impacts the window. We don't want that window to shatter. We want that window to be a safety glass window so nobody gets hurt. And we're looking for tempered glass windows, especially in walking areas like this deck here, that are low to the deck surface, where someone can get affected if they run into that window. This gas piping right here, this rubber-coated gas piping, is called CCST. So it's a rubber-coated gas piping. And we need to make sure that this is properly bonded. So whenever we see this type of gas piping, sometimes it's coated with yellow or orange. This one is coated with black protective coating. But we should have a ground wire or bonding wire coming off of this that either takes that electric charge, if there's a lightning strike, to the outside or to the panel box, where it can be safely distributed to ground. And so this is not properly bonded or grounded. And we'll just make a note of that. I've never seen this be an issue, but it is something that we have to look for. CCST, gas pipe bonding. We have this furnace located in the crawl space, which is pretty much a high moisture environment. We see this rusting that's developing inside this furnace unit. This furnace unit really isn't even that old. And especially in through here, we see this rusting developing in the burner unit. So if you have a furnace that's in a high moisture environment, you're significantly going to reduce its life expectancy, because it's really not made to be exposed to this high moisture that we have in the space. So this furnace will have definitely a shorter life expectancy than a furnace that, say, is located in a dry basement or inside the living space of a house. A lot of rusting in here. As a home inspector, one of the things I look for when I turn a faucet on is good functional water flow or pressure. So I'm at this bathroom faucet and we see that the water pressure is rather low. And this could be a simple fix or it could be a major problem. I'm not really sure yet. So in here, there's a screen that can get obstructed by little sediment, rock, and that can cause this water flow to be reduced or lowered. Other times it's a problem at the whole house where there's lower water pressure in the home. So we're going to do a little bit of diagnostic here. Maybe I'm going to take this off to see if it's obstructed and then go from there. But our water pressure at this sink faucet is a little low.